Welcome. This week's channeled message from Isla, the mother of creation, the mother of all souls, is super uplifting. I'm so glad that you're going to be sharing it with me because this week she's talking about a really simple change we can make that really will change everything. And it's all about a shift in our perspective. It's drawing our awareness to where we are actually turning away from our own joy. So I think you're going to love it. So thank you so much for coming back, you guys. And those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel, which means I go into a deep meditative state or trance. And from that state, I connect with the angels or Isla, the mother of creation. And I bring through messages, healing, information that I share here with you guys on YouTube. I am first and foremost a healer. So while I'm sharing channeled messages, healing is where my heart is. So I wanted to make sure you guys know the Lift Your Light weekend is coming up. It is June 27th and 28th. And it is going to be a healing opportunity with Isla, the mother of creation, and the angels. And it is going to be all about healing our resistance to our own joy, which, believe it or not, is we all have it. Like we think we want to be happy and then we push away our own happiness. And sometimes that comes because we have been criticized for being happy, where our happiness has made somebody else unhappy. There's a million different reasons why we stand in the way of our own joy or we limit our own joy. So in a time right now where we're meant to be really stepping into our joy, this is going to be a very important and very uplifting healing. So I hope you can make it for the weekend. It's going to be an immersion weekend. We meet both days, Saturday and Sunday, and then we do a follow-up the following weekend. So information is right on my website, anntucker.com. You'll see it right at the top, the Lift Your Light weekend. And I hope to see you there. So, all right, if you are ready, let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to share the original channeling, which I was channeled the night before. And then afterwards, and if you want to just sit back and feel the frequencies, there's a ton of beautiful frequencies that come through whenever Isla speaks. So let it wash over you. And then afterwards, we will break it down. I'll go through, and the message is very clear, but we get so much more out of it when we talk it through. It's a way to really integrate the learning. And even though these messages, I love that they're so straightforward. It's funny to me how hard it is for us to do the simple thing, which is to let go, right? So hard to let go. But so if you'd like to stick around afterwards, I think you will find the breakdown to be super helpful. All right, take a breath and let's go ahead and share the original channeling. Blessings, we will speak with you now. There are things upon your mind, thoughts that you are having, which are of a disturbing kind, lessons that have been wrought, become again at the forefront of your imaginations. The world in tumult. There is change on the horizon, and you are wondering how fast, how far it will come. There are new beginnings afoot and change for all, but not all should be weary. Not all is due for suffering. Change is a welcome thing. Change brings within it new opportunities, what has not yet been said and known. There is a wellspring from which you can draw your new beginnings. There are new foundations afoot. And from within your current lives, there are new starts already begun and beginning. I would ask of you, in surrender to the now moment, that you forgive your past and the past of all, that you forgive what has already happened and what will happen on the horizon, that you forgive not to forget and not to remember, but not to dwell upon what has been awful, and instead cast your attention in a new way. Focus differently now. Think upon the thoughts that drive you into your own cheerfulness. Think upon the thoughts that bring you into a greater harmony with what your heart desires. Be of a peaceful nature within. Strive not to confront that which is tumultuous in your world, Do not seek it out. Do not let it interrupt your own good nature. Allow yourself the pleasure of an existence that strives for what is good, that breathes in its own intoxication with life and living. Let this be your truth. Let this be real. Let this be what is happening for you. There's always somewhere, there is always something where suffering exists. There's always hardship on this plane of existence as it is now. It does not need to be your reality anymore. It does not need to chain you to it. There are obligations in your lives, this is true, but obligations are felt. It comes from within the heart, the sense of opportunity lost, the recognition that choice does not come from you. Yes, but in each of these, in all of these kinds of circumstances, choice can evolve. Change is coming. Opportunities are before you. I would ask of you to dwell within the moment of now and ask yourself again, is there another choice I can make? Is there something that would derive a better outcome for what I am and what I wish to be? Each moment is an offering. The next change, the next now is coming. And there is always another. There's always the next one. Therefore, do not dwell in judgment against yourself for choices already made. Simply live at the breast, at the crest of what is next. This is the position where your heart does dwell. This is the spaciousness where your heart surrenders itself to its own existence. When you can envelop your world in the anticipation of the next moment, and where the next moment carries within it the opportunities that you wish to digest. There's always optimism. There is always hope. But when these are detached from the now, they become so future-focused that they cannot penetrate the now moment. They are always at a distance. They are as if by projection projected forward, far and away from yourselves. Instead, cast your wish, cast your voice into this very next now. Be within your own existence. Do not purchase your real estate of your imagination too far forward away from the now, for it shall always stay where you put it, which is at a distance from the self. Call it back to now. Call your hopes the field of dreams. Let them gestate into the familiar, into the known, into what exists right in front of you. Here at the crest of the next now, your heart is open and filled with its own essence. It needs only an open doorway for it to breathe itself into its own experience of living. In your future-focused originations, you are casting the voice of your thoughts, of your memories of what happened long ago. In reaction for or against, you perpetrate your own separation from the realities that you are choosing. It is now in the now where the suggestiveness of your imaginations can actually become real. I've spoken with you about the concept of manifestation that occurs in an instant, in a moment, in the momentary definition of what is truly wanted, when there is clarity in the heart, and there is forgiveness for all that exists. There is acceptance of the self as you are, and there is nothing to prevent it from occurring. When these factors align, then the recognition of yourselves becomes real. When I say that there is nothing of resistance, There's nothing to prevent it. I am always and only referring to yourselves. When there is nothing about you that deems what you are asking unreasonable, that deems it beyond the possibility, when all of you can commit to the reasonableness of your own request, when you can feel in your heart that what you desire is justified in a reality that loves you, that cares for you, that becomes you, that conforms to your own energy field. Drawing yourself back into this new relationship with the next now, with the next moment, may sound easier than it is. I have in my own heart the understanding of what it is to live in the current and the flow of the past and the future. It is to exist in separation from the now. It's to draw yourself away from your own potential into the potential of something that exists outside of yourself. As you decide and agree that you will draw yourself back home into the spaciousness of your own potential, what is real can occur, and it comes because you allow it. Therefore, I speak these truths with the full knowing that you will carry on, in some cases, with your old way of being, and this is all right. But there are now those known moments when you will allow yourself to purchase your real estate in this world, in this reality, right underneath your own feet, and dare to dream the next moment, what shall occur, and surprise you with its recognition of your very dearest wishes. I say bless you, thank you, and goodbye. So, chills. I love this one. I love this message. I feel there's so much joy in it, and there's so much positivity, so much, it's so uplifting. There's this sense that there's really it just feels like if there's a veil between where we are now and where we want to go, it feels like that veil is so thin, and the only thing in the way of it is like our belief systems, like our old patterns of thinking, our old way of being. It's like the grooves of thought that we get into. And I've been really thinking about that for myself a lot. I've been trying to catch myself whenever, and I do my negative thought journal. I've been trying to catch myself whenever I'm going down a path or a thought form. Like I think a lot about the last message. I think it was last week's message where she said, like every morning is like a new day, and you can choose to sort of be open in that new state of like acceptance of letting the divine flow through you, or you can go down the path, the rabbit warren of old thinking and negativity, right? That every single day we get to choose again. And which means that tomorrow is another chance, or in the next moment is a new chance. But it means that we have to consciously make the choice to step out of our old neural pathways, the ones where we naturally go. And I was thinking about it so for me, I'm trying to be extra conscious and to notice what is it that where am I letting my brain go? What are the squirrels of my mind that I'm chasing that maybe aren't leading me in a positive direction? So yeah, so there's so much here. And what I say, if we had to say, what is the one thing, this one thing that she's saying that we can change is this idea of stepping away from processing our reality, stepping away from the influences of everything that's out there, that's going on out there, and coming back to, and it's always coming back to the now moment, but it's in this space of softening where we forgive everything that's coming and everything that's been, right? We forgive it, and we get to the space of just not being in resistance to it. So it's coming into a relationship with a now moment where we're not even giving attention to the past and the future. And we're assuming that all of the answers are accessible right here. And so from this space, and that is true and she goes into how it's true for our wish making too. And I love how she says this idea that we purchase our real estate in the future, and then she says, purchase the real estate right underneath your own feet. I love that part. And, it's that idea that it's like invest in the put your wishes right here. Don't think of it as like, I'm going to imagine myself having this, being this person I want to be, or having this life I want to have, as if it's out there somewhere and it's going to manifest, down the road, somewhere far away. And what she's saying is so true, is we are more powerful as creators than we realize. When we imagine it being out there, that's where we're planting it, and it will always stay out there. That we need to plant it right here at our own 2 feet, like plant it in the now, like see that change in your current life. Imagine it as if it showed up tomorrow. What would it look like? Maybe that means you change one thing at a time, but isn't that how change happens? So maybe we pull one piece of it and say, well, first, okay, I imagine myself having this other existence, and there are many components to get me there. So I'm going to think of what is the first component, and I'm going to plant that at my feet now. And I'm going to imagine that now, and I'm going to live with that in my reality right now. And she says, when we get out of our own way, I love that part. The only thing that we have to do, like the main thing in our way is our belief that it's possible, right? Is our resistance. Can we accept that this could happen? And if we can get to that space of saying, yeah, I believe this is a reasonable request to make. If you can't feel that, make the request a little smaller until you get to the place where you're like, why is it, you guys? Why is it that it's so easy for us to manifest an amazing parking spot, but we can't manifest a lottery ticket? Like, why is that?
We have that.
Hi, Julie. But why is it that we have that difference? And one is because we believe that the parking spot could happen, and we do not believe that the lottery ticket can happen. So I'm not saying that we're like the whole lottery thing, that's like a whole karmic journey. And you don't actually want that unless it's part of your life plan. But the point is the same. Like things that we think of as being so out of reach, they are out of reach because we make them so. So yeah, such a cool message. So, all right. So if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and break down the message. Sound good? All right. So here it is. So first paragraph, she says, and I feel like this one is very clear, but there is definitely some opportunity for us to slow it down and pull out the meaningful action steps and the wisdom from this message, because there is a lot in it. So she says, blessings, we will speak with you now. So there is both the angels and Isla are present in this message, but then she kind of takes over the narrative, but the angels are very active with this message. And it's all around trying to help us feel peace, which is really the angels. That's their bomb. They love peace. So the angels are here with us in this message. We will speak with you now. There are things upon your mind, thoughts that you are having, which are of a disturbing kind, lessons that have been wrought become again at the forefront of your imaginations. The world in tumult, there is change on the horizon, and you are wondering how fast, how far it will come. And so this is that idea that lessons that have been wrought. So the problems that we've seen in the past, people are worried they're coming again. Like, oh, is this going to be like World War III? Is this going to be like the Great Depression? Is this going to be like, so we're looking back at what's happened in the past and we're projecting that forward, right? And we're wondering, so it's our imaginations are doing this work. And this is the world in tumult, there is change on the horizon, and you are wondering. So there's fear here. She's identifying you can't have these thoughts without having an element of fear, an element of how should I prepare or what should I do? It puts you in a very specific vibration, and you can feel it. When you're there, you can feel what that feels like, and it doesn't feel good. Next paragraph, there are new beginnings afoot and change for all, but not all should be weary. Not all is due for suffering. Change is a welcome thing. Change brings within it new opportunities, what has not yet been said and known. So, and this is getting back to that idea that, and we were mentioning this earlier, that idea that when we are creating from our past expectations, we are creating more of the same, right? If we are in that state of fear causes us to control, causes us to tighten down. And when we control, we start projecting our imagination into the future, and our imagination is built on the past, right? It's only when we can free ourselves from that whole dynamic and get into the space of just being open to receive what comes that we allow something new to generate, something we haven't experienced, right? What has not yet been said and known. So, but if we're in the space of it being in resistance, like fearing that the lessons of the past are going to come forward again, we shut that down and then we recreate the past again because we're projecting our fear into the future. So this is that where we have to see our own behavior and see our own sort of neural pathways and break free from them consciously. This is a conscious choice we're trying to make right now. And we don't have to be perfect, you guys, and we don't have to do it all at once. It is the idea that we have to become aware of it. We have to start noticing ourselves, noticing when we're doing it. And then once we notice it, try to make another choice. Try to say, there I am. I notice I'm going down that pathway of worrying about this or that, or fearing this or that, or thinking or clicking on that video. And I just stop myself, say, okay, I see I'm doing that. Wouldn't I feel better if I chose to stay open in the now? What if I just put that down and turned on my waterfall? Wouldn't that be better? So, so I wrote in my notes here that we are trying to shift our attitude towards our reality. And it is going from the trepidation to anticipation or looking forward to something. And as I was writing those notes, what occurred to me is I was looking up, I thought about the word trepidation. Trepidation is a very specific word. It's like fear of the future. And when I looked up that word, there was a ton of synonyms for trepidation, right? You could say trepidation, you can say apprehension, you can say dread, right? There's a lot of words that mean being afraid of the future. Then I typed in, what is the opposite of that? What's an antonym for trepidation? There aren't any. There are none. The best that they could get was looking forward to. They said, this is the easiest way to say it is looking forward to. So we don't have a word that means anticipating our future joyfully, right? You can say, you have to put words together. You have to say, because you have anticipation, but anticipation could be negative or positive. It doesn't inherently mean positive, right? Anticipation could be either. It's neutral. So you have to put joyful anticipation, or you have to say looking forward to. We have no words that mean looking ahead with joy. Other than we have hope, optimism, but that's different because those are airy-fairy. They're not real, right? That's like a feeling. It's not real, right? Trepidation, like is a very specific feeling that we have. And we have so many ways to express it. So what is this telling us about the human condition, right? It was so wild for me just to realize that we literally do not have a word that means joyful anticipation of the future. So we're trying to really break free from these old neural pathways of trepidation and dread, apprehension, which come from revisiting the lessons of our past and projecting them into the future. So this is going to take some conscious work on our part because we don't even have the words to express it. Right? We're going to have to choose to notice. Number one, notice when we're doing it, and then try to stop or just kind of stop in the moment without judgment. And then to try to make another choice and say, what happens if I just am open and I trust that the future is going to bring good things? What if I trust, and the way I do this for myself is I sit with myself for a minute and I say, okay, do I trust myself? Do I trust who I am today? And I would say, yeah, in general, I really like myself these days. Am I all perfect? No, but I love even my imperfect parts. And I can live with my imperfect parts and say, you know what? Those are cute. Like, I'm okay the way I am. I'm good. Not that I don't want to keep getting better, but I really do. A world that is a reflection of me. Yeah, I can do that. That's good. I'm going to focus on the good things and love the good things in my world that reflect the good parts of me. And if I can get to that state, then I'm actually open. Then I'm open to the new reality being born out of the best of who I am today. So it's really, this is the state, the conscious choice we're trying, the shift in attitude. So number one, the biggest first step is just noticing what we're doing, noticing the trepidation, the apprehension, the dread, noticing how we're projecting forward, and then just stopping, right? Anywhere that we're looking, seeking out into the world, finding things that make us scared. So, okay. So then she says, there is a wellspring from which you can draw your new beginnings. There are new foundations afoot. And from within your current lives, there are new starts already begun and beginning. I would ask of you, in surrender to the now moment, that you forgive your past and the past of all, that you forgive what has already happened and what will happen on the horizon, that you forgive, not to forget and not to remember, but not to dwell upon what has been awful. So in this, that she's really getting into, I love the first part where she says, new foundations are afoot, that new starts already begun and beginning. In other words, we are already in the energy of change, that the energy is available to us now. And so that's why she's really trying to focus and help us focus in all these messages we've been getting on what are the pathways that we take that lock us into old patterns, because we don't have to do that anymore. That all we have to do is retrain our brain to think about reality in a slightly different way. And it can be 1 minute at a time. Every minute that we do it, it's like practicing, working out a muscle. We'll get better and better at it. So these opportunities, change is already in the air, and we can be the early adopters. We can start to embrace it now, moment by moment. Every little bit we do, it helps us. And then she says in this paragraph, she says that the idea is to surrender in the now moment and forgive the past and all of before it. So the idea here about surrendering and forgiving, it is about trying not to be in resistance, right? To anything, just to let it go and to not be reactive. And so the forgiving is for forgiving the past, it's forgiving the future, it's forgiving yourself, it's forgiving other people. But I think when we get into this idea of forgiving, we sometimes get locked into the idea that, like to forgive and forget, to forgive and not remember. She's saying when we're locked into that whole thing about where do we stick it inside of our body that I can live with it, how do I deal with this feeling? She says that the idea is just not to dwell on it. Like as you're trying to create your future, try not to dwell on the things that bum you out. It's like, and this is not to say to do spiritual bypassing, and this is super important. The idea is not to, when something genuinely comes forward, is not to try to ignore it and move around it and reach for a happier feeling. If stuff comes forward and you're having a true trigger moment and you're reacting, we know that we need to feel through that we need to allow it to come in and understand that anything we feel was already in our body somewhere. And this is a moment to process that feeling and to move it through our heart space by feeling it profoundly as we can, and embracing ourselves in that process. But what she's referring to here is that sometimes you're having a perfectly good day and you just get triggered because it's just walking down an old path that you're familiar with. It's like, well, I'm going to listen to, scary stuff about the economy because that's what I do. I'm going to listen to the news because that's what I do. And then it bums you out, right? And that's not a trigger. That's just you being affected by immersing yourself in an energy that is not helpful. So that's the difference. And so here she's talking about that, there's been stuff going on that's not great in the world, and that's true. And it may not be affecting you directly, but you can certainly immerse yourself in it. You can read all the news and you can soak it all in and you can learn all about it, and it's going to bum you out. Or you can worry about it happening in the future. And she's saying that's the piece we need to just forgive, that it exists. Forgive the fact that bad things exist. And the idea of that is not saying you have to like it. It just means that you want to be out of resistance to it. When we resist things, they persist. We create them again because we are projecting those worries into the future. So we're trying to release our resistance to the things that bum you out, right? And that means just try to get to a non-reactive state in the now moment. So not only does this help the future, right? Because you're no longer recreating the past through your own powerful thought process, but you're also opening up to the now moment to create something entirely different. You're using your ability as a creator to bring through your divine nature. So she says not to dwell upon what has been awful, right? And so when she says not to forget and not to remember, is because those are processes that we make us wrestle with it, right? She's like, just stop, just don't dwell on it. And then she says, and instead cast your attention in a new way. Focus differently now. Think upon the thoughts that drive you into your own cheerfulness. Think upon the thoughts that bring you into a greater harmony with what your heart desires. Be of a peaceful nature within. And so if you're in the habit, like if entertainment or relaxation has meant watching the news and you're finding that you come away from that experience feeling bummed out, then it might take a little work for you to find something to replace that. An activity or a thought process that replaces that old habit. But the point is to do it consciously and to seek something that you come away from feeling good. So like furry cows, Like replace the news with furry cows. Watch, and it doesn't matter that it's not educational, because I'll tell you what, the news is not actually very educational, because old news, if you look at how many times have you watched the news from five months ago, right? It's not actually helping anybody for you to watch the news. There used to be a time, I think, in our society where we believed being an informed public was an important job, because we were voters and we needed to be up on the news so that we could vote intelligently. But the news has changed, right? It's not about that anymore. The news isn't trying to educate us. It's trying to elicit a response, right? The news is now trying to create fear so that we will watch. And it's not giving us information, it's giving us excitement, but negative excitement. It's now infotainment. It's different. And I'm still, yes, should we be educated so we can be good voters? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But we're not getting that from the news. So, and I just realized this is on. Let me just make sure this is not going to bother us. So it is that idea to focus differently. Think upon thoughts that bring you into greater harmony with what your heart desires. Be of a peaceful nature within. So this is that conscious choosing. What can we find? What can we do with our time? I am in this phase right now where I am overhauling all of my daily habits. I have a ton of emphasis in my 6th house right now, which is all about daily habits. And I'm literally there's nothing that's not on the chopping block. Do I shower in the morning or do I shower at night? Like, when do I do my gardening? Do I do it in the middle of the day or do I do it in the evening when it's cool? I'm rehashing, and it's happening naturally. I'm literally going through all of my habits and reworking everything and rethinking, what can I systematize? What can I make easier? What can I make more joyful? And it is a very joyful, the Virgo part of me. I think that if I'm doing Vedic astrology, I've got some Virgo in me, but it's making me very happy, this process of rethinking everything and not just doing things the way I've always done them. And as I'm doing it, I'm trying to see, like, what is joyful. I know this sounds so silly and so small, but every little bit makes a difference. So last couple of days I was working in the garden during the day. I got all stinky sweaty and I didn't want to go to bed that way. So I showered at night and I let my hair air dry. And I used to think my hair looked terrible when it air dried. And guess what? I liked it. I actually thought it was cute. I was like, hey, this is actually kind of cute. And guess how much time it took me? 0. It took me 0 time. So I woke up the next morning, I saved like 30 minutes of time that I normally would be fussing and fighting with my hair. And I did none of that. I was like, this is awesome. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've just discovered something. And so, I'm open to all areas of my life where this is possible. I have been doing it the other way my entire life. I would shower the night before or the morning, and then I would be drying my hair and in a hurry and blah, blah, blah. My morning is so much different when I don't do that. So what else in my life can I overhaul? Same thing. I was gardening in the middle of the day. It was so darn hot. And then I was like, wait, the other night I went out like 6 o'clock. Everything was shady and pleasant and peaceful and quiet. It was lovely. And it was so much easier. Why would I do it in the middle of the day? That's just asking to be miserable. So I'm doing this about every part of my life. Why not think rather than just do it the way I've always been doing it? Why not question everything and say, hey, is there a better way? Is there an easier way? Do I have to do it that way? Is there somewhere the way that brings me more joy? And so it's focused differently now, right? What drives me into my own cheerfulness? Right? Think upon the thoughts that bring you into greater harmony with what your heart desires. I want more freedom. I want more peace. I want more love in my life. And so I'm going to be of a peaceful nature within. And I'm anywhere that if I am hot in the middle of the day, why am I doing that? Stop doing that. Find a better way. If I am irritated because it takes me a half hour to do my hair, stop doing it. Find a better way. So that's my current attitude. And I think we should all take that attitude. I am pushing it out there. Everyone take it. It's good. I'm kidding. Do it whatever you want, but it's working for me. So, all right. Strive not to confront that which is tumultuous in your world. Do not seek it out. Do not let it interrupt your own good nature. Allow yourself the pleasure of an existence that strives for what is good, that breathes in its own intoxication with life and living. Let this be your truth. Let this be real. Let this be what is happening for you. Right. And so this is that idea that we seek it out. Right. And we seek out, she says, do not seek it out. And when we do seek it out, think about this. If when you are exposed to things that bum you out like that, it puts you in a fear state. It puts you on alert. So it has a physiological effect. And then that then prevents you from being fully in your body. We got to be fully in our body in order to bring through source light. All right, next paragraph. There's always something, there's always somewhere, there's always something where suffering exists. There's always hardship on this plane of existence as it is now. It does not need to be your reality anymore. It does not need to change you to it. Isn't that interesting? So here is where I had an aha moment, which is that our base state is actually pretty happy. That the base state we start from, right, is content. Is we imagine that we are coming into any situation. Think about yourself as a child, right? Your base state is not fearful, right? You come into the situation open, curious, willing. Like that's the childlike state, and that's our natural base state. But then we go out into reality and it changes us to it. So we are not that naturally. So she's saying that as she's acknowledging here, there are obligations in your lives. This is true, but obligations are felt. It comes from within the heart. The sense of opportunity lost, the recognition that a choice does not come from you, yes. But in each of these, in all of these kinds of circumstances, choice can evolve. Change is coming. Opportunities are before you. I would ask for you to dwell within the moment of now and ask yourself again, is there another choice I can make? Is there something that would derive a better outcome for what I am and what I wish to be? So, and I made some more notes to myself somewhere, and I'll find it later, about this idea of the base state. I think it comes up down below. I'll find it again. Down here, I'll talk about it again. But this is that idea. I love that she says here, is there another choice that I can make? So she's acknowledging that there are things in our lives that we feel are structural that we cannot get away from, such as paying taxes, right? And that may bum you out. The experience of paying taxes may stink, and you feel like you have to do it, and you have resistance to it, and you don't want to do it. I often use taxes as an example because I don't like doing it. It's true for me. And but then she says, yeah, these are obligations. However, in each of these and she says the truth about it, obligations are felt. Right? That the obligation is not actually an obligation. What makes it an obligation is how I feel about it. I am the one that is making taxes an obligation. I could just as easily choose to look at my taxes and see that the money I send in, I could choose to believe that that is going to pay for the things that I believe in. You know, if I have something that really bugs me, if I'm like, okay, what really irritates me is potholes, then I am going to choose to believe that my taxes are going to pay to repair potholes. Rather than saying this money is going to be wasted on things I don't believe in or I don't care about, or that it's just being, whatever, that's a choice. And I can equally choose to come out of resistance to that experience and say, no, some of this money is going to pay for things that I believe should go to education. Great. If I believe every dollar I send in this is going to pay the salaries of my amazing neighbor who's a teacher, I'd be like, yeah, then I feel great about spending that money. And I can choose to see it that way, that I'm consciously choosing to contribute this money to pay for the things that I believe are important. Totally change it. It's no longer an obligation, right? Taxes, it's a choice I'm making. Totally restructures my relationship to that experience. So she's saying, do you have obligations? Yeah, but that's a choice that you're making. That everywhere we feel that we're obligated, we are feeling that in our heart, and it's a choice. It's just how we have chosen to frame our relationship to that experience. So then she says, and in it, she says the sense of opportunity lost, the recognition that choice does not come from you, right? So something like, yeah, we have to do it, but we can choose how to frame it, how we feel about it. And we put onto it these layers of, well, I could be using this money to pay for something else, or I could be doing, or I didn't choose to do this, I'm being forced to do it. Instead, I just have to see my way through to it and find the good in it and change my relationship to it. But then she says, but in each of these, in all kinds of circumstances, choice can evolve. Change is coming. Opportunities are before you. So here's what's interesting. If I choose to reframe my relationship to my taxes, will my taxes change to reflect my new attitude? Will I discover that taxes are being spent more wisely? Will I discover that the pothole that is at the bottom of my road gets filled? Right? Will my feeling about it actually generate positive change in the world? I believe it will. So choices can evolve, right? Change is coming. Opportunities are before you. I would ask of you to dwell within the moment of now and ask yourself again, is there another choice I can make? So if I'm out there in the middle of the day dying because I'm not used to it's like, guys, I'm such a wimp. It was like 70 something degrees, but I was in the sun and I'm like, I can't do it. It's too hot. Seriously, I'm such a Northwest girl. Like such a wimp. But still, is there another choice I can make? And the answer was yes. Just wait, just hold your horses, go do something else for a couple hours and come back when the sun is down. Yeah, is there another choice? Stop, wash my hair at night, let it air dry. Wow, what an amazing innovation. Another choice. I don't have to stand there under the hot blow dryer I don't have to do that. Oh my gosh, freedom. Another choice I can make. So cool. Is there something that would derive a better outcome for what I am and what I wish to be? So yeah, I'm a huge fan of this message. So can I feel differently about this, right? Is there something I can change? Do I have to accept it the way it is? Or can I change my relationship to it? Can I question my old way? Can I question old assumptions? So each moment is an offering. The next change, the next now is coming. And there's always another. There's always the next one. Therefore, do not dwell in judgment against yourself for choices already made. There's one, right? Do I now criticize myself for having done it the old way for my whole life? Do oh my God, I can't believe how much time I wasted. No, like that would be fruitless, right? So the point is don't dwell in judgment against choices or for choices already made. Simply live, and I love this, she says it, live at the crest of what is next. Not only is it like a lovely alliteration, but the breast is where the heart is. Right? So she's saying at the breast, at the crest, here is where everything starts, where new beginnings begin, is right here at the breast, at the crest of the wave. It comes from this place. And then she says, this is the position where your heart does dwell. This is the spaciousness where your heart surrenders itself to its own existence. When you can envelop your world in the anticipation of the next moment, and where the next moment carries within it the opportunities that you wish to digest. So this is where we're trying to get, right? This is the one thing that changes everything, is this idea of trying to get to the space where we can be out of resistance in the now moment and surrender our heart to ourselves and allow the fullness of our own divine light to create the next moment, right? To let go of our old neural patterns, our old habits, the things that lock us into things that create fear and anxiety, and instead to just be at peace with what is. And that's literally all we have to do, is be at peace with what is. And if we can get to that space, we're opening the door for the heart to do the rest, right? We don't have to project it forward. We don't have to think so hard. We just have to feel good, right? What a piece of homework. All you got to do is feel good. And it's so much harder than it sounds, but it is so easy at the same time. It just means breaking or questioning all of our old habits, questioning the way that we've been. Anything that bugs you, think about it. There could be a better way. Either you can change your relationship to it, or you could maybe try it a different way. And both work. All right. And then she says, there's always optimism. There's always hope. But when these are detached from the now, they become so future focused that they cannot penetrate the now moment. They are always at a distance. They are, as if by projection, projected forward, far and away from yourselves. I love this paragraph, because think about that. My mom used to call me Sunshine as a little girl because I was always so cheerful. And I've always been called an optimist, and I am an optimist. But optimism, there is a certain amount of optimism that pushes.
Do you find treasures?
That pushes your sorry, we're having a couple of issues with muting and unmuting today, but that pushes what you wish for into the future, right? It is an idea of being so future focused that the future always stays far and away from you. And so the idea is to bring that. It's a great idea to be optimistic and hopeful, but hope implies things will get better, not things are better. And there's a big difference between things will be better as opposed to things are better. And we're trying to bring that hope and that optimism into the now moment so that we're not pushing them far into the future. If we push things into the future, we are such powerful creators. We create a relationship to that thing that it stays in the future. So think about this. If it's like taking a future outcome and putting it on a pedestal and saying, I will achieve this at some point. And our relationship to it is that I do not have it yet, but I will have it. That is what we are creating. We are creating, I do not have it yet. Because of the dynamic of our relationship to the thing. We have a feeling about it. We feel, I don't have it, but I will have it. And so it stays in the will position forever, as opposed to in the I have it position. Do you see the difference? So this is why we want to be cautious about, yes, be optimistic, but bring it into the now and say, today is going to be amazing. This next minute is going to be amazing. Love the hearts, Alana. Thank you, Ivana. So we want to bring it into the now moment. And then she says, they are always at a distance, as if by projection, projected forward, far and away from yourselves. Instead, cast your voice into this very next now. Be within your own existence. Do not, and I love this line, do not purchase your real estate of your imagination too far forward away from the now, for it shall always stay where you put it, which is at a distance from the self. So this is that idea of I will have it. If you attach the word will, it's a future tense, and it will always exist in the future. So that's your real estate, is you're saying, I'm buying a dream. And my dream is my real estate, and I'm going to put it out there in the future. And we want to take that dream and we want to plant it right here in the now moment. And if the dream is too big, if your body can't take in the possibility of that dream being true, break it apart into smaller pieces and take the piece that you believe that your body says, yes, I could do this. Then you take that and you put that in the now moment. So then she says, call it back to the now. Call your hopes the field of dreams. Let them gestate into the familiar, into the known, into what exists right in front of you. Here at the crest of the next now, your heart is open and filled with its own essence. It needs only an open doorway for it to breathe itself into its own experience of living. So, and it's what really strikes me as I read this message is like, wow, it all seems so simple, and it blows my mind how we have been living so far out of alignment with this way of being. You know, how it's been just patterns and habits and conditioning and all these things. And if we can just become, it's really calling us to this depth of self-awareness to change habits, to change deep habits. And so this idea that if we can get to this place of bringing it back into the now, releasing our resistance, forgiving the chaos of the world. She says it's always going to be there, you guys. There's always going to be bad things happening. We don't have to put our nose in it because it's always going to be, if it's not this one, it's going to be the next one. There's always going to be problems. And you can send general, undirected, loving energy to all the problems of the world. And that's beautiful, right? Just send it out there and say, I send love to whoever needs it. And just send that love out there and let it land wherever those problems happen to be. And then come back to your now moment and say, okay, this is a space where my heart can be open and I am free to create, freed from old patterns, fears, and expectations. It needs only an open doorway for it to breathe itself into its own experience of living. And then she says, next paragraph, in your future-focused originations, you are casting the voice of your thoughts, your memories of what happened long ago. In reaction for or against, you perpetrate your own separation from realities that you are choosing. So this is that idea, getting back to that idea of our natural base state, being like open and peaceful and ready, joyful anticipation of the next moment. That's our natural state. But she says here, where we are opening to fear, we're changing that base state. We are being affected by the fear in our reality, right? Because we are being focused on the future. We're casting our voice of our thoughts, our memories of what happened long ago, right? And then we are feeling in reaction to those things, either for or against, right? We are either projecting our thing, I will have it in the future, and that creates a feeling of longing or dissatisfaction with the now. Or we're saying, I'm worried that we're going into the Third World War or the Great Depression or whatever it is. And we're taking those memories and we're throwing them into the future and creating them again. So we are creating reactions and we're stepping into fear away from our natural base state, which is that lovely, open-hearted, joyful awe of childhood. And then she says, it is now in the now where the suggestiveness of your imaginations can actually become real. So this is that idea that this is where we can create something brand new, something better, something that's created from who we are today, from the best of ourselves. And then she goes into super cool. She starts talking about instant manifestation. And she says, I've spoken with you about the concept of manifestation that occurs in an instant, in a moment, in the momentary definition of what is truly wanted, when there is clarity in the heart and there is forgiveness for all that exists. And let's go through these one by one. So there's 4 conditions, she says, to create instant manifestation. Here's the 4 conditions to create instant manifestation. Number 1, she says, clarity in the heart. Number 2, forgiveness for all that exists. Number 3, acceptance of the self as you are. And number 4, nothing to prevent it from occurring. And then she elaborates on that in the next paragraph. And then she says, when these factors align, then the recognition of yourselves becomes real. And that means reality recognizing the truth of you. And the truth of you, your love, your divinity becomes real, right? So this is instant manifestation of your divinity. And she says, so we need these 4 things. And then she says to elaborate on number 4, which is nothing to prevent it from occurring. She says, when I say that there is nothing of resistance, there's nothing to prevent it, I am always and only referring to yourselves. When there is nothing about you that deems what you are asking unreasonable. So this is the resistance. The only actual true resistance to you receiving what you want is, do you in fact believe it's reasonable? And if you do, then your energy will open and your energy will flow to it. But if there's some part of you that says, oh, that's too much to ask, or that would never happen, you've closed it down, right? Because you are the creator. You are creating the reality. So why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't you be able to create it unless for some reason you thought it wasn't possible and you weren't sending your energy to it? So she says, the only thing is she says, I'm always and only referring to yourselves. When there's nothing about you that deems what you are asking unreasonable, that deems it beyond the possibility. And then I highlighted this whole next section. She says, when all of you can commit to the reasonableness of your own request. So that is number 4, when all of you can commit to the reasonableness of your own request. And so what I would suggest is, if you feel like you have the request and you're having a really hard time accepting it, break it apart into smaller pieces and choose a little bit that you feel is reasonable, that your body says, yeah, I can see that happening, right? If you would love to repair a relationship and it just seems impossible, it just seems like nothing you can do makes a difference. Don't try to fix the whole thing in one big gulp. Take a little tiny piece and say, this moment or this interaction or this little thing could change, right? And I can feel that in my body. This is possible. And then focus on that, right? That's the piece. So, and then she says, when you can feel in your heart that what you desire is justified in a reality that loves you, that cares for you, that becomes you, that conforms to your own energy field. And so this is saying, like, reality, you are so loved. You are so surrounded by love. The essence of love is so clear and pure around you that everything around you is conforming to you. That's how much everything loves you, right? And so all you got to do is believe that what you need or what you want is reasonable. That you, and this gets into, I understand all the wounds about deserving and worthiness. And that's why I say, if you have to break it apart into smaller pieces, if you think I only deserve a little bit of this, then okay, start there and get that little piece of it, and you'll get there one piece at a time. It's okay. The point is not to judge yourself, right? Not to say, oh, I can't do it, therefore I suck. Like, that's the wrong idea. The point is to say, I can do what I can do, and I'm going to do it well. I'm going to do what I can do. All right, next paragraph. Drawing yourself back into this new relationship with the next now, with the next moment, may sound easier than it is. So she's acknowledging like these patterns that we have of existence are entrenched, right? That like, you know, thinking about and following your own thought patterns, your own habits, your own behaviors. Like some of the little changes I've been making are things that I would just had never questioned. Right? It was just how I am, what I do. This is what you do. This is, and anything else would feel weird. You know, it just never even occurred to me. And so these things can be very, very entrenched and hard for us to see. So she's acknowledging, like here, like not in others. The whole point is like, don't judge ourselves if we don't get everything right away. We're not meant to. We just do it at our own pace. And then she says, I have in my own heart the understanding of what it is to live in the current and the flow of the past and the future. It is to exist in separation from the now. So Isla she incarnated as water on our planet before, which was within the bounds of time. So she has had the experience of living within time. She knows what it is. And she says, it is to exist in separation from the now. It is to, and this is very profound, this next sentence. She says, it is to draw yourself away from your own potential into the potential of something that exists outside of yourself. So let's break this down because I think this is a powerful statement. And so what is time? She says, living in the current and the flow of the past and the future is to exist in separation from the now moment. When we exist in separation from the now moment, we are giving our power to things outside of our control. We are assuming, like we look back at the past and we think about how the past will affect us now. When we push things off into the future, we imagine that the future is coming to us as if we're not in control of it, right? We imagine the events of the past. It is externalizing our experience of our reality. We're saying, oh, these are events, World War III, whatever it is coming. Here it comes, and it is as if it exists outside of us. It is as if the future exists outside of us. And so it is as if all of it will happen to us. So living within the concept of time separates us from the true source of our own power. We exist in these places where there is a concept of reality that is not coming from us. It comes from this externalized version of history, right? Or imagination. And it doesn't feel like it's generated from inside of us. In the now moment, every moment is generated from within us. So it is a process of being separated. When we are in this state of expanded consciousness through time, we are living in separation from self, which is in the now moment. And then she's saying that in that moment, when we do that, we are giving our power away to the past and the future. Does that make sense? I know it's profound, it's complex, but it's also really beautiful. So, and I go into this a lot in my new book about this concept of collapsing that expanded state of consciousness and expanding in another direction. So I'll go into this in depth in the book, and it's super juicy. You're going to love it. It's really, really cool. So, and by the way, it's with the editor, and it's going to be, I'm super excited, and it'll be coming out probably mid-July, the new book will. So yeah, if everything goes according to plan, but yeah, super, super exciting. So, and I think about calling it the map to New Earth, because I think that will be the name. What do you guys think? How do you like the name, the map to New Earth? Good? Awesome. So it'll give us the whole point of it is it'll give us a way of understanding the process of a soul's evolution. How does a soul evolve? And from there, we understand where we are in this shift of consciousness. What stage are we at in the process of the evolution of our soul? And then understand how that fits in the evolution of the universe. So it gives us a map that maps all of it so we can understand the entire process of evolution for the entire universe and where we fit inside of it and what stage we are at right now, which tells us what came before and what comes after. Isn't that cool? So that's what Isla's been sharing with me. And I cannot wait. It's been so hard to keep it to myself, you guys. But within that, it explains the shift of consciousness really in a very detailed way to help us understand what is changing and how we can work with it. So yeah, very, very cool. So, all right. So then she says, where was I? I was up here. When you can feel in your heart, which is, yes, justified. Okay, so here we are. When all of you can, did I read that part? I just totally lost my point. As you decide and agree, I haven't read that part. Drawing yourself back into this new relationship with the next now, with the next moment. Oh, it may sound easier than it is. Okay, and then she says she understands it. It is to exist in separation from the now. It is to draw yourself away from your own potential into the potential of something that exists outside of yourself. Okay, next paragraph. As you decide and agree that you would draw yourself back home into the spaciousness of your own potential, what is real can occur. And it comes because you allow it. Therefore, I speak these truths with a full knowing that you will carry on in some cases with your old way of being, and this is all right. So love this. And so in other words, she's saying, okay, what makes the shift? What is it that's going to shift us out of this old way of being where we are sort of trapped in the past and the future? And she says it is when we decide and agree. So we have to choose it, number one, and then we have to come into the whole body feeling that it's possible, that it's real, we have to agree with it. We have to feel inner agreement to this potential, whatever it is. So we choose, and then we have to believe it's possible wholeheartedly. And then she says that would draw ourselves back home into the spaciousness of our own potential, which is bringing us back into the now moment where our heart can actually generate something new in the now moment. And she says, when we do that, what is real can occur. So what is real is the truth of you. So to break this down, as you decide and agree, right? So as you make the choice and as you feel like your body believes it's possible, that just as you decide and agree that you would draw yourself back home into the spaciousness of your own potential, which is in the now moment, what is real can occur. In that moment, you are able to actually begin creating from who you are today in the now moment. She says, and it comes because you allow it, right? Only thing in the way is our resistance. Therefore, she says, I speak these truths with the full knowing that you will carry on in some cases with your old way of being. So she's teasing us a little bit there. She's saying like, you are totally in control of this. And I know that in some cases you're going to keep doing what you've been doing. And then she says, and this is all right. So she's acknowledging that we have the power to choose. We don't even have to choose to do this. We could stay the old way if we want to. And in some moments we will. Then she says, but there are now those known moments when you will allow yourself to purchase your real estate in this world, in this reality, right underneath your own feet, right? And this is where you're going to cast your dreams. Where are you going to purchase your dreams? Are you going to still purchase them in the future so that they always stay out there, will happen in the future? Or are you going to purchase the real estate of your dreams right underneath your own feet in the now moment? So that's the idea. And then she says, and dare to dream the next moment, which shall occur and surprise you with its recognition of your very dearest wishes. I say bless you, thank you, and goodbye. How cool is that, right? How cool is that? And I love that she says it'll surprise you with your dearest wishes. It is the kind of idea that refers to the idea that once we get into this state, which is the new state of consciousness, once we get into this higher state of being where we're really living in the now moment, then we don't have to try to control what we're creating. We don't have to be in the place where we're like projecting and I want it to look like this and I want it to be this color and I want it to this way and feel that way. It will literally be, we just have to be in the state of loving ourselves and loving what is and trust that we will generate something that we want. And so she's saying, what shall occur and surprise you, right? So in other words, it's just rising up as a special something that you didn't even expect. That's delightful because we don't have to control it anymore. The whole point is to let go of control. So it will rise up and surprise you with its recognition. Reality will recognize your very dearest wishes before you even know you had them. Isn't that a cool thought? So it's really funny. I channeled this message yesterday, and right before that, I chatted briefly with a friend of mine who was dying to tell me about a super cool instant manifestation moment that she had. And then of course I go and channel, and then she's talking about instant manifestation because everything is perfect. And what I loved about it is it is a perfect illustration of this message, because what she said was she had been on this flight where like she had ordered a special meal and they, for whatever reason, the order hadn't gone through. And so she didn't get any lunch and she was starving, and then they were delayed, and then her suitcase was delayed. And here it was like 4:00 in the afternoon and she's starving, and she's with a group of friends and they have to drive an hour to get to their destination. She goes down to the baggage claim area and she sees there's a juice cart right there. And she's like, oh my gosh, okay, that's my savior. I can grab something. Yeah, I can grab a smoothie. And so it goes up to the smoothie lady, and the lady's like, I'm so sorry. We closed just a minute ago. We just closed. We're closed down. And so here's what's cool is, like, of course she got her smoothie. So what happens is she's like, she tells the lady her circumstance. She's like, oh, I'm so bummed. I'm so hungry. And it's like 4:00 and I haven't eaten lunch. And I was really hoping for a smoothie. And but see, why would she tell the lady her story unless some part of her believed it was possible for her to get a smoothie, even though the lady told her that there was no smoothies and she was closed. So there was some part of her, otherwise she would have just walked away. She didn't know this lady, but she chose to tell her story. So she goes to turn and walk away, and the lady says, wait a minute. And she reaches into the refrigerator and she's like, there's a smoothie that got made by mistake, and it just so happens to be the one that she wanted. And it's right here waiting. You can have this one for free because it was a mistake. Instant manifestation. So the key is that she believed it was possible. Right? That's the key. She was not in resistance to this occurring. And you could tell she believed it because she stuck around and told the lady her story. There was some part of her that thought, I need to tell her the story because somehow I'm going to get my smoothie. And there it came, right? So instant manifestation, she followed the 4 rules, the 4 rules of instant manifestation, which we can mention one more time just because it's fun. And I wrote them down somewhere. Here, clarity in the heart, right? So she had that clarity, like she was in the moment. She was super present. She was super hungry, right? She had forgiveness for all that exists. She didn't feel angry about the situation, right? She wasn't mad at the lady that she didn't yell at the lady because there was no smoothie. And she wasn't mad about the fact that she didn't get lunch. She was just in the space of like, I'm just hungry. So she didn't have any resistance. She wasn't fighting her circumstances. She just was open, right? Acceptance as a self as you are in the present moment, not in the future. There was nothing to prevent it. She believed it was a reasonable request. Instant manifestation. So cool. So let's do it. Let's go out this week and let's manifest. I want more good stories like that one. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for being here today, for sharing the message, for talking it through, for your amazing comments and sharing. What an amazing day to be starting living in the now together. So sending you so much love, and I'll see you guys next Friday live. Bye, you guys.